Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Okay, figured we would do something a little bit differently. There's not a lot going on in the sports world right now. I don't even know how much people are going to be watching these clips, honestly, because it's Thanksgiving and, some people have stuff to do. Some people have nothing to do. I've known in the Thanksgivings of the past, I've had times where I've had literally nothing to do. Didn't even, wasn't with family, completely alone. Other times I had work. So figured I'd make some clips for the people that either have some downtime or don't have much going on, or maybe they do have much going on and they still want to watch clips and get away from their family. So I figured I'd do something a little bit differently, something fun, go back in time. This is Colin Cowherd's Super Bowl bubble going into week one. Figured it'd be fun to kind of see how some of these takes aged. I've already done it with a handful of other videos. If you guys like some of these, like kind of like old reviews, definitely let me know. I can kind of keep doing them, but I figured at least for the holidays, it could be kind of something fun. This, of course, is not meant as like a gotcha or like, haha, you're wrong. It's honestly just for fun. I mean, we all make wrong predictions and stuff like that, and I'm sure some of these I've agreed with and we're probably dead wrong. And honestly, I haven't watched this. Again, I mean, I watched it months ago. Let's see when this was posted, September 5th. So, I watched it on September 5th, but I haven't watched since then. So I honestly don't remember whatsoever. So let's just jump right into it. We will see what Colin has to say.
I always do Super Bowl bubbles about once a month, once every 5 weeks. I'll do you a Super Bowl bubble. Here's my Super Bowl bubble to start the season. For the radio audience, I think there's, to be honest, 7-8 teams should be favorites. In the NFC, Detroit, Green Bay, San Francisco, I'm high on the Rams. In the AFC, the Texans, the Bills, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Kansas City, and the Ravens. I think 4 teams are just on the outside. I've got a question I need to see resolved. Philadelphia, love the roster, love the quarterback, love almost everything. Ownership, GM. I'm a little worried about the coach and the quarterback relationship and the coach overall. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow's health. I wish I had the Jets defense and Miami's offense as one team, but they're so good at one thing. Jets defense, Miami offense. I'll keep them on the periphery, but there's hope here. So there you go. 8 in the bubble and 4 on the outside. This may change. We always have a surprise team, but that feels right. I really think the Texans have a legitimate chance to get to a conference championship. They have turned that franchise around with the right coach, the right GM, and the right quarterback. All these teams have one thing in common. They have a good quarterback. I know, Brock Purdy, but he has 111 passer rating. He's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a star, but he's a good quarterback. But they don't all have an established, proven coach. We don't know what Robert Saleh really is. But tonight, what you're seeing, frankly, is what the model of the league is. Chiefs-Ravens, the 2 winningest teams.
Well, we don't have to unpack what the Chiefs-Ravens game is going to look like because we obviously already know. But okay, let's take a look at this. Obviously, the Jets being on the Super Bowl bubble is just comically hilarious. The Bengals, his concern about the Bengals was Joe Burrow's health. Well, Joe Burrow has been 100% healthy, and the big concern is that insanely awful defense. The Texans, unfortunately, are not in the Super Bowl bubble. I'm pretty sure I had them in the Super Bowl bubble as well. In fact, I know I did. The Rams, even if they were healthy, it kind of feels like they wouldn't have been. I mean, unless they really turn it around, it just doesn't feel that they were really going to be in the Super Bowl bubble. Maybe adjacent, but I don't know. The Jets and the Dolphins. I know the Dolphins obviously had their injuries with Tua and they completely kind of fell apart, and now they're definitely catching fire now that Tua is back. They are honestly the hardest team to legitimately evaluate because the way how their season started, they got off to a slow start, as many teams did, right? Many teams kind of got off to like a slow, rocky, mediocre start. And then when it was time for them to kind of get going, Tua went down. Then obviously they were really bad. And then Tua came back and now they're good. So it's hard to see what they would have been. Could they have been a top team Super Bowl, right around the Super Bowl bubble? I think it's definitely possible, but that's not the way their season unfolded. And the Jets, I definitely had them around the Super Bowl bubble, but that is certainly not what the situation is in it. And it wasn't necessarily Robert Saleh. It was that offense, Aaron Rodgers, the receivers. I mean, who even really knows at this point? It's kind of just a million things wrong with them. The 49ers are most definitely, I think even if the 49ers were honestly healthy, I'm not so sure I would be putting them in the Super Bowl bubble. It's unclear to me, honestly, because I think even if they were healthy, it just doesn't seem like Debo, Kittle, etc., that they're all just there. Even Christian McCaffrey, I know he's obviously coming back from being kind of dealing with some of his injuries and whatnot, but it's hard to know really like what those players' peaks are anymore. And when Ayuk was healthy, it was like what was going on with Ayuk, and now there's all this criticism of Shanahan and his late game management, and it just that team kind of seems like a mess right now. I mean, I think it's still possible for them to kind of be competitive this season, but it's fun to kind of go back and be like, well, kind of ask the what ifs. If Jordan Love was 100% healthy and never had to come out at all, miss any games, would they be a true top contender? Yes or no, right? Like it's just I don't know. The Kansas City Chiefs, if they didn't deal with some of their injuries and whatnot, the Houston Texans. So it's fascinating to see some of the justification and some of the logic behind some of these decisions in terms of where to place a team, right? The concern about the Eagles was the relationship between Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, and that's like that hasn't been a problem at all this whole season. Like that honestly has not. That's been a non-story. They've tried to make it a story. They tried to make it a thing. And if you want to say that Nick Sirianni has held that team back, that's fine. I mean, by all means, make that argument. Even I've made that argument, but like that has not really been an issue so far of this season. There's been some issues that you could question some of the coaching decisions, but that's not why the Eagles would be out of the bubble versus say in the bubble. You're not going to say, oh, well, the Eagles would be better than the Packers or the 49ers or the Rams, but Nick Sirianni. Like that's just not obviously how the season has unfolded for the Philadelphia Eagles. But yeah, I mean, obviously the Lions are going to be in the bubble, the Bills in the bubble, the Chiefs in the bubble, the Ravens in the bubble. Obviously I'm going to put the Eagles in there. I'm going to leave the Bengals not at all there. The Jets not at all there. The Dolphins, it just feels unfortunate because of injuries. I just feel like it's too steep of them to climb. I would definitely take the Texans out of the bubble. Maybe you can still put them around the bubble, but it's just, I don't know, man. They got to make up a lot of work and also take the Rams out. I'm not sure if I would put the Packers in the bubble. I think they're definitely still there. I just don't. I mean, I don't know. Are there rules to this bubble that only so many teams can be in the bubble? Because I'm not really sure. Because obviously you're going to put the Vikings, the Steelers. I'm looking at my other list of when I did Nick's tiers. The Chargers again around the bubble, not in the bubble, but those are the other teams, and even the Broncos and the Commanders. Even it's yeah. I don't know. It's almost kind of sad to a degree when you look at some of this. When you look at a team like the Bengals or the Dolphins and kind of think to yourself like, what if? Like what this was back in September when like there were so many hopes and dreams of like, okay, the Bengals can do some work. The Jets, Aaron Rodgers, he's healthy. Let's go. And it's kind of sad in a weird way that you're kind of just like, man, there was so much optimism around some of these teams. Again, even having the Dolphins, the Rams in there, and then the Rams get decimated with injuries, and the Texans lose Nico Collins, and then Diggs, and their O-line certainly has not been good. And now there's questions around Bobby Slowick, and I talked to a bunch of fans from the Texans, and now they're starting to complain about, D'Amico Ryans, their head coach, and it's just really, really fascinating to see how storylines were so concrete and confident going into the season, only to see so many things just not go according to plan. And quite frankly, that really is why I think teams like the Chiefs, of course, the Bills, the Eagles, like these perennial teams, and the Ravens, even if they haven't achieved, minus the Chiefs, haven't achieved the master goal of winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl, the fact that they are still year after year after year consistently in the hunt, you truly do believe consistently. Again, they are obviously going to have some down years. They're obviously going to unfortunately deal with some injuries and some other contract issues that might arise. But you can say confidently year after year after year, you're like, yep, the Ravens have a chance. Yep, the Bills have a chance. The Chiefs obviously have a chance. The Eagles have a chance. The 49ers, you could have said that until kind of this year. But like, and that's why, because the Bengals you should be able to say that. You got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. That alone, that nucleus enough, it should be enough for you to consistently be a legitimate perennial contender. And yet we don't see that with the Bengals. And the Texans, like, they had everything going in front of them. They were not able to put together that team right now. And again, maybe it's coaching, maybe it's injuries. You'll have to kind of wait for the season to be over to kind of really kind of diagnose more. The Jets, obviously a disaster. The Dolphins, I mean, like, they couldn't hold their team together with the injuries. That's on the Miami Dolphins. How did they not secure a backup quarterback that could win some games? We saw the Packers do it. And again, I think the Packers are a top contender, but I don't think, when I'm saying top contender, I'm saying like they're up there and can do some damage. But if you're like, are they going to win the Super Bowl? Can they get to the Super Bowl? They're not going to be at the top of my list of teams that are going to get there. Like, I am going to pick the Eagles over them. I am going to pick the Lions over them. That could change as the season unfolds, as there's still obviously a handful of games and important games. And I do believe that Jordan Love and the Packers will hopefully continue to improve. So that could certainly change. But I'm just trying to look at it as in like this immediate moment right now. In this immediate moment, based off of these specific teams, of course, like right now, it really is only the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Lions, the Bills, and the Eagles. I want to make sure I said all those correct teams, right? Let me do it this way. The Eagles, the Lions, the Bills, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. Like, those really are, without a shadow of a doubt right now, the teams that if you had to choose right now, you're not thinking of, oh, well, I think so-and-so is going to get better. No, well, wait a second. So-and-so will be back in the next couple of weeks. I'm just saying right now, you're like, those are the teams, right? That is who it's going to be. You would put your money on it to say the Lions and the Eagles NFC Championship game, and then it's going to be a toss-up between the Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens AFC Championship game, right? Which two of those three teams will get there? And it makes it makes sense. So and again, you obviously have some of these other teams like the Vikings. I think probably the Chargers less so, and the Commanders and Broncos less so as well. But I still think you're going to put those teams ahead of, say, like the Jets and the Bengals, obviously, and in front of the 49ers and the Rams as well, and the Texans. So, yeah, I'm curious to see at this point. Obviously, I'm filming this on November 27th, posting on November 28th, Thanksgiving. I'm curious if in another month, like, how is that going to age? Are the Packers going to completely fall out? Are the Eagles going to collapse? Are the Lions going to go on a 3-game losing streak? Are the Ravens going to absolutely catch fire? And it's insane to ever think that the Ravens are under, say, the Chiefs or the Bills. Do the Chiefs get healthy? And it's like, well, obviously no one's going to be able to beat them now. Like, I'm curious to see, because these things age honestly pretty poorly very quickly, right? Like seemingly overnight. I'm making this video and I'm posting it. For all I know, the Lions get absolutely rolled by the Bears. I think unlikely, it's a possibility, but I mean, for all I know, the Packers lose to the Dolphins. I think that they play on Thanksgiving with each other. So you just don't know. And so you can literally make something, and within 45 minutes that take can age awfully. So I think the fact that he made this in September and it's still pretty good, you still got the gist of it, but I do think that those perennial teams that are consistently, that you really believe that they actually genuinely can contend for a Super Bowl, it really just goes to show you how well those franchises really are, because it's so much easier said than done. And even though you had legit success the year before, does not guarantee that you're going to have success the year after. And even though I've railed on the Ravens and the Bills and even the Eagles, and I think that's probably it, that I've really kind of said, like, hey, you got to do more to be able to get over that hump and win that Super Bowl. The fact that they're still right there, up there, year after year after year, is remarkable when you're watching some of these other teams struggle just to either even be a contender for just 1 year, let alone multiple years in a row. But those are just my thoughts as I drop something. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Colin Cowherd's Super Bowl bubble going into week 1? And I'm actually posting his current week 1 bubble. I just realized this now as I'm finishing up this clip on Friday, to the next day. So his updated Super Bowl bubble that I'll be posting on Friday. So it'd actually be kind of funny to compare those next to each other. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.